Hello and good evening and welcome to this edition of the Sports Den Live. Dominic Papa coming to you from the We-TV studios in the east end of the city of Windsor, Ontario. We're talking on the Sports Den here. Glad to have you along for the ride this evening. Before we get to our topic and to our guests, I want to give a shout out to the University of Windsor Lancers women's hockey team. Jim Hunter and the girls playing extremely well in the first half of their schedule, going 8-2-2 and ranked in the top 10. A very nice start for the Lady Lancers hockey program. Also, speaking of hockey, the Leamington Flyers have really turned it up a notch. They sit in first place in the Western Conference of the Greater Ontario Junior Hockey League. Tony Porosky and the gang there on a nice roll and going into the break looking really good to perhaps repeat as Western Conference Championship. We'll keep track of them throughout the season. And the last shout out goes out to Harry Lumley and the Herman Green Griffins as they play for a Ontario Bowl title. It's not officially an Ontario Championship, but certainly a big game. Good luck to Harry Lumley and the gang at McMaster this coming week. On this edition of the Sports Den, we're going to talk football. We're going to talk about the CFL and the 102nd edition of the Grey Cup Championship game, which features the Hamilton Tiger Cats taking on the Calgary Stampeders. Should be an outstanding contest. Before we get into that discussion, I want to remind our viewers that you can tap into our show and throw a few questions out to our panel if you would like. You can go to our Twitter page, our Twitter contact, and tweet us at SportsDen Live. If I get a chance, I'll read some of the tweets throughout the show and certainly get you involved in the broadcast here this evening. Also, I want to plug an upcoming telecast here on we-tv.ca. We're going to do our first broadcast with the St. Clair College Saints athletic program. We got doubleheader basketball action. The women tip off at 6 p.m., the men tip off at 8 p.m., and that's this coming Saturday, November 29th, as they will take on Cambrian College from Sudbury. Hope you can join us for those broadcasts of Saints athletics here on we-tv.ca. Now, let's get to the panel. We've got an outstanding football panel to talk about this Grey Cup game. Sitting to the far side of the table, has done a phenomenal job with the Essex Ravens program. He's the leader there, one of the premier coaches in our area. He's won a championship with that team. He's hoping to do so again in the near future. Of course, I'm talking about head coach Glenn Mills. Welcome to the show, Coach Mills.
Thank you, Dominic.
And off-season? You keep busy in the off-season.
Our off-season starts December 1st.
December 1st.
We're having registration for it tonight, actually. So, yeah, we're going to get right back at it.
And is that required now, 12 months a year?
To be successful and to stay on top, I believe it is.
Yeah. And the talent pool here keeps going and
keeps rolling.
I mean, we just mentioned Harry Lumley and his gang, high school football. That's where the main draw is?
Yeah, we also have a younger group that kids that we also draw from. We're starting a new team again this year, 9, 10-year-olds. So grade 3, 4, and we'll go all the way up to grade 12. So.
And the program just keeps getting bigger and bigger then.
Just keeps growing and growing. Yeah, it's going to have 8 between the fall and summer. We'll have 8 teams running. So.
Okay, so busy time, and you head up all of that.
I do. Yeah.
And how do you keep that going?
it's a full-time job.
You have a very understanding wife, don't you?
I do. She's fantastic.
All right, good stuff. Thanks for coming in tonight, Glenn. Also on the panel, he played in the Grey Cup game just a couple of years ago at the 100th anniversary of this contest. He's a former University of Windsor Lancer great, certainly one of my favorite players to watch ever. I believe I dubbed him the Midas Man because everything he touched turned into gold in the end zone. He was an outstanding receiver with the Windsor Lancers. He played several seasons in the CFL with, I believe it was Winnipeg and Calgary. And now he's back in our community, teaching young minds, doing a great job there. And certainly we're very honored and happy to have him back here in Windsor as a citizen. Of course, I'm talking about the very special individual, R.J. Franklin. Welcome to the show, R.J.
Thanks, Tom.
Great to finally see you again.
Yeah, it's been a while.
We've kept in touch.
Yeah.
Even when you were playing in the CFL,
Yeah.
we would talk periodically. But nice to see you, and really nice to have you back in our community. And obviously, Windsor hit a spot with you.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I met my wife here. That's a good reason to stay in the city. But Windsor's been a big place for me. It's where I kind of grew up into a man. You know, I have great memories with football and with Coach Morency, and you know, it's just nice to call it home now.
Yeah, certainly we're glad to have you calling it home. What exactly are you doing now teaching-wise, RJ?
I'm teaching at a school called Windsor Adventist Elementary School, small private school. There's about 40 kids in the whole school. Very great group of kids. I teach grades 2, 3, and 4, so it's kind of like little schoolhouse type feel. But I couldn't be happier with the opportunity to teach these kids.
And do you see any future RJ Franklins in that?
I see some good athletes.
Oh, do you?
Absolutely, yeah,
All right.
absolutely. So they surprise me every day sometimes.
You got to be excited. This is kind of an emotional time period for you because you played your last game.
Yes, yeah, exactly. I just looked at the calendar and realized that it's been exactly 2 years since my last game in the CFL. And not too long ago, I was kind of looking at the weather. It was like November, a cold November day, and it reminded me of CFL football, CFL playoffs, to be more specific. So yeah, it is a little bit emotional, but it was a good run, a good chapter of my life. But it's closed now.
Yeah.
And I got better things going on now.
Absolutely. Well, great to have you in. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Also on the panel, another great football coach, extremely committed to this area, and he used to play, was a star there, and now he's a star coach for sure. He's won back-to-back OFC championships, of course, no stranger to many of us. He is the head coach of the Windsor A. Kilfratman, not the university. Of course, Coach Mike Lachance. Welcome to the show, Coach Lachance.
Thanks, Tom.
We get to talk to you a lot through the season, but it's nice to have you in a different kind of environment here tonight.
Yeah, it's laid back, and it's after a championship run, so I'm smiling. Unlike our press conferences where I usually have a scowl, but today's just relaxed.
Yeah, some of those press conferences are pretty intense, but they're
they
fun.
do.
They're fun. The off season for you, like Coach Mills, obviously you keep busy. You and Coach Morency and the gang there, I'm sure, doing your work, already prepping for next year.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Coach Morency and I were laughing about it today because it was 12:01 a.m. following the championship game, and I contacted a couple potential recruits. So it doesn't, like Coach Mills said, it doesn't stop. It's 12 months a year. We have our banquet this Friday, and we'll ramp up right after that. So.
Obviously, a very successful campaign. The experiment, I don't know if it was an experiment. I think it's going to stick the overage players.
It'll stick in Ontario.
Yeah.
Whether out west raises their age limit or not, we'll see. I think they'll go up at least to 23. So it was successful in Ontario. I think anyone who watched the games would agree that it raised the level of play. I know several officials talked to me after the games, like the referees talked to me after the games and said the game was crisp and fast and a lot better quality. So yeah, it was nice.
All right, well, good stuff. Thanks for coming in tonight, Mike. Appreciate it. We're going to get right into this. This is the game as far as Canadian football fans are concerned. Of course, being here in Windsor, we follow both leagues quite close. Last year was Hamilton, Saskatchewan. It was Saskatchewan coming away with the victory last year. So Hamilton obviously getting back to this game, a huge goal accomplished there for Coach Austin and the gang. But boy, they're going to be in really tough. You look at this game, guys, and you look at the records. Calgary 15-3, Hamilton 9-9. Obviously a great differential. I mean, I think it was the BC Lions that were 9-9 in the West. They would have been tied for first place in the East. Is there that much of a gap when you get to this game, or do all those records and stats just go out the window for this contest?
Well, I mean, I think if you look at the two games that they played this year, Calgary won both of them, but they're both tight, 30-20 and 10-7. And on the 10-7 game, Hamilton actually dropped the 29-yard field goal they would have kicked to tie the game. They dropped the snap. So both games were tight. So I don't know. I mean, RJ could tell you the talent difference between the East and the West is probably there.
Yeah, maybe. But, they're all professionals, right? Like, when you have those one-on-one matchups, they're all, like, anyone can win one of those one-on-one matchups anytime. At the end of the day, none of it matters. The way we used to look at it was the regular season was done, and now it's a whole new season, the postseason, right? And now it's the Grey Cup. Anything that happened in the past was just to get there. Now it's brand new, clean slate. May the best team win that day,
And it comes down to whoever is the best team on that day, which,
absolutely.
I think, is it fair to say, Coach Mills, that if you look at this game, you think Calgary automatically is the best team?
Well, you know what? Yeah, they started out and they played well through regular season. I'm not a big fan of regular season. I tell my guys all the time, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And if you look at the last few games down the road, Hamilton's been getting steadily better. They got their key guys in place, and it's the last game of the year. I mean, it's for all the marbles. So I think you're going to see a fantastic football game. I hope Hamilton wins it, and I know RJ's a former Calgary Stampeder, but I got 4 guys from our program that play on the Ticats, and I'd love to see those guys get a Grey Cup ring. But you know what? It's just whoever executes and I think makes the least amount of mistakes is going to win that football game.
The 4 connections that Coach Mills talked about: Mike Atkinson, Brian Bulkey, Pavel Kruba, and Andy Fantus, all playing with Hamilton. There is one Calgary player that has a tie to Windsor. He's on the practice squad, and that's Akeem Wonder. the linebacker who had a great career with the University of Windsor Lancers. So those are the local ties that are involved with this game. And, again, you look at all the lineups, things like that. The couple of things that I was able to follow and really put together, both quarterbacks on these teams are first-year starting quarterbacks. Yeah. How much pressure is on these two guys, and can it come down to these two guys being the difference in this game?
It should. It's
going to have to, yeah.
It's going to have to,
They're going to have to make the difference. I know Bo Levi Mitchell. I was teammates with him for a year, his rookie year, and he had a lot of poise and just a lot of confidence for a rookie in the CFL. Now he's 3 years in. This is his third season. Yeah, first year starting, but he kind of had a lot of confidence even in his first year. So I think he's going to go in pretty confident and comfortable. Yeah.
I think sometimes you get a young quarterback, whether it's a rookie or a first-year starter, sometimes ignorance is bliss, and they don't know they're not supposed to do what they're doing. Sometimes you're in the league for 4 or 5 years and you get a couple cracks at it, you realize what the pressure is. If you're young, you don't really know sometimes, and sometimes that's good as a coach. You could use that to your advantage.
Quarterbacks drive me crazy sometimes.
Collaros is playing. He's playing great. I mean, he's just running around the field. He does a lot of things that a lot of people can't do, right? I mean, he's not afraid to run the football. He throws the ball all over the field, and he's a playmaker. And he'll do what it takes to get it done. And that's the great thing. I mean, some of the older guys that they couldn't run anymore, they couldn't do some things. He's not afraid. He's a big, strong kid that will run the football.
Yeah, Coach Mills talking about Zach Collaros, the starting quarterback for Hamilton, and there really are two very different quarterbacks. When you get into a game like this, that mobile quarterback that you're talking about, does that give Hamilton maybe an edge there, or maybe this, does Mitchell give them something with his game and his approach that might be an advantage?
I know often defensively, it's really hard to scheme for a running quarterback or a quarterback that can take the ball and run anytime. Most people don't scheme for that. So, if you have somebody who can run the football a little bit, and I mean, doesn't have to do a lot of it, but if he's not afraid to run it and do it, it can be a game breaker at times. So.
At the same time, I don't think anything, Bo has a strong arm. There's nothing really out of reach, so the defense has to cover, a really big field with Bo. And then you got John Cornish in the backfield. And,
Well, you're leading me right into my next topic.
Right? Yeah.
Well, here you get John Cornish in this game. Now, he didn't even play in the 2 games in the regular season, so there's a factor there. He played in 9 games, 1,082 yards rushing, led the league in 9 games of rushing. Obviously, this guy's like all world here.
Right now, yeah.
And, if you're looking at this game and you're going to pinpoint one player that might be the deciding factor, you go automatically to John Cornish.
You'd have to. I mean, you've got Calgary's rushing offense, which averaged 140 some odd yards a game rushing, against Hamilton's rush defense, which was 75, 76 yards, I believe they held teams to. So it's really a battle of that strength and strength. You got the strength of the offense of running the ball, and you got the strength of the defense that's stopping the run. It's kind of an interesting matchup. But Cornish didn't play the 2 games, neither did Collaros.
Right.
So Collaros didn't play in the 2 games they played against Calgary during the year, so it's going to be interesting to see how they kind of react, both teams, right?
Calgary led the league in points for this season, 511 points for. They gave up the second fewest in the league at 347. Hamilton's number 417 points for, points against 395. Very respectable defensively for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. The gap between divisions, and you know what, these teams only saw each other twice during the season. So obviously, and being that you guys know this game so well, being that Calgary obviously faced better competition throughout the campaign. And I know, Coach Mills, you just say you don't care about the season too much, but does that not prepare them better for this game, being that they played Edmonton, being that they played last year's champion, Saskatchewan, whereas Hamilton played against maybe mediocre competition throughout the year?
At this point, honestly, I don't believe it really matters. I mean, they're all professionals. They all want to win a Grey Cup, and they're going to do whatever it takes to get it done. And that's what I honestly believe. I don't think the competition, what happened, 10 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, is really going to have any factor on this game at all.
I don't think the teams in the West played against better competition.
Well, the records indicate
the
that,
records indicate. I looked at the standings maybe like a third into the season, and every team in the East had a losing record. I saw that, right? And then every team in the West had a winning record. There was a stretch where like three of the four teams in the East had no wins or something like that. It was bad, right? But I said it at the very beginning. they're all professional football players. They're all athletes. So, scheme-wise and the team gelling as a unit, I think that's a factor. But in terms of that one-on-one battle and a player facing, so that receiver standing across from that DB, they're all good. They're all good. That's my take.
Okay, we'll take it.
I think you got to look at how they end too. And Coach Mills said it earlier. It's not how you start; it's how you finish. Look at how Hamilton finished. They started 2-7, right?
Sure.
So their first 9 games, they were 2-7, and they did a great job in the second half. They made some adjustments. They got some players back. Caleros had some concussion issues in the first half. They got him back in the second half. Brandon Banks exploded on special teams. They have a pretty good running back themselves in Grigsby, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this guy could play too. It's not like he's from the
Well, they got a
sisters
pretty
of the
good
court.
special teams player in Brandon Banks.
Absolutely. I mean, he turned that game around against Montreal. So you look at how the two teams finished the season, and I bet you the records are, I don't have them in front of me, but I bet you they're pretty darn close.
Yeah, obviously, if they started 2-7 and
Right.
finished their last 9 games,
Pretty hot.
they would have been opposite, 7-2 basically.
Yeah, so they're pretty hot
to get
going
into
in.
it. Okay, I got to take a quick timeout, guys. When we come back, we'll check in with the panel again. We'll get their predictions for the game. We'll also get them the keys to the game for both teams and where this game will be won and lost as we talk about the 102nd edition of the Grey Cup here on the Sports Den Live. Come on right back after this.
Wishing you all a very happy Christmas from Bob Riem Sports. Christmas season is upon us, and we have the apparel for the sports fan in your life. We will have many specials between now and Christmas. We can supply you with the gift for the special person on your Christmas list. Ho, ho, ho! Just wanted to send out a special thank you to all of our customers from the past from Bob Riem Sports, and looking forward to seeing you again in 2015. Once again, have a happy holiday.
Like our champions, we know what it takes to win. Every day we put on our uniforms and we strive to be the best. Ring after ring, we keep practicing until it becomes second nature. Our craftsmen have put in thousands of hours to master their trade. And when things get tough, we make the adjustments needed to stay on top. Barron Championship Rings. This is who we are.
Adding new products or services to your brochure? Updating those drab business cards? Or looking to create a striking window display? In need of some screen-printed signs for that construction site or promotional campaign? Posters, vehicle wraps, and a whole lot more. At Angel Star Digital, our expert design and production team are ready to meet all your promotional needs. For samples of our work, check out our website at www.angelstardigital.com, or you can call us at 519-969-0712. That's 519-969-0712.
Welcome back to the Sports Den Live. Boy, the chatter just hasn't stopped during the break here, but glad you stuck around here for the Sports Den. Dominic Papa, glad to have you along for the ride this evening. Before we get back to our panel and the discussion, quick reminder again to watch an upcoming event here on We-TV. Yeah, it's our first taste of St. Clair College Saints action here on we-tv.ca. We'll check into both basketball programs. Coach Andy Kiss and the women tip off at 6 p.m. and Matt Devon and the gang, the men's team, tip off at 8 p.m. We'll have all the action for you live right here on we-tv.ca. Cambrian College providing the opposition. That's this Saturday evening on November 29th. Hopefully you'll join us for that. Reintroduce the panel for you. We've got a great football panel here. Glenn Mills, the head coach of the Essex Ravens. To the far side of the table, also former CFL and Windsor Lancer great R.J. Franklin in the middle of the panel, and the head coach of the Ontario champion Aikil Fratman, Mike Lachance, next to me. So sorry about his luck. He got the short end of the draw here today. But we're going to talk about the Grey Cup as mentioned at the break. We're going to continue on with that. And just let's go at it this way now, guys. And I know the past is the past, and records don't mean much. What happened 10 years ago. Last 2 times these teams met was in 1999. Hamilton wins that game, 32-21. That's the last time they won the Grey Cup. Calgary has been knocking on the door for the last couple of years. Last year they were upset. Who comes into this game? I mean, they're both going to be hungry, but we know that right now a lot of the CFL prognosticators are picking Calgary. And right now it's quite a big edge. Leading up to this game, will that change?
I don't think so. Calgary's been top of the food chain in the CFL for a few years now. They just haven't won it all. And, I mean, they're both hungry. They both lost in the Grey Cup in the last 2 years, right? Hamilton lost last year and Calgary lost 2 years ago. So they're both pretty hungry. But Calgary is obviously the more accomplished team on the field in 2014.
Nobody want to touch that one?
You know what?
I know you're Hamilton.
I'm going Hamilton. I just think that the last several weeks have been getting better and better. I think they're going to have to put a game together. I think Orlando Steinhauer is going to do a fantastic job keeping them second and long and taking Cornish out of the game. I just think defensively they're a big, strong, physical football team that's going to get it done, and I just think they're going to beat them.
Here's a question I want to throw out to you guys, and what's a better way to go into a championship game like this? One, the way Hamilton has, where they turned their season around, got on this nice roll, or the other way, being Calgary, which has been very consistent throughout the year. Which is the better way to go in?
Consistent.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you go into the Grey Cup having won week in, week out. You know how to do it. You've been doing it all year. Nothing new. Business as usual going in. I think that's the approach they're going to take. And I think they know they are the better team. And now it's just a matter of showing it, you know. And honestly, from my years, okay, so we lost we lost in the Grey Cup in 2012. We lost a lot of Western finals that we were the better team. And I think Calgary's like, listen, this is it. This is the year. We don't do it this year. And then
You're only going to get so many kicks at the
right,
can here.
you know.
Okay, Coach Mills, you're just shaking your eyes
I
and
just
you're
think,
rolling. You're just okay.
You know what? Hamilton has got a real bad taste in their mouth from last year. I mean, they
sure.
kind of let that game get away from them and got beat up a little bit, got embarrassed a little bit, and I think they would definitely want to rectify that situation and get the Hamilton people back on board, saying, hey, that was a fluke, and they got a lot to prove. I just think that I just can't see a way those guys are honestly going to lose it. I just don't believe they'll lose.
Coach LaChance, you get to break the tie here.
You know what? My heart says Hamilton because as an AKO guy, we're tied to Hamilton. We're one of their farm groups. So I would love them to win. Traded messages with a couple guys there today, but my head has got to say Calgary. Like I said, they're the more accomplished team.
So is it better to go in consistent or
you know what? As a coach, I don't care. There's no style points in how you get there. It's if you get there. And when it comes down to one game, you give me that one game, I'll take it. I don't care if I went one win all season to get there. If that win got us there, that was the most important win. And you know what? They're both there, and I don't know if it really matters. They were both pretty hot at the end of the year. They both won a real impressive playoff game going in. They both scored big points going in.
But as RJ alluded to, that was just status quo. I mean, that's what they've been doing all year.
But this is what Hamilton's been doing for the last 2 months too, right? I mean, they didn't just win their last 3 games. They got on a good roll in the second half of the season with their quarterback at the helm, and I think they both got good points. These guys, Hamilton's feeling real good about themselves, and Calgary should too. I mean, they've been, like I said earlier, the top of the food chain in the CFL for a number of years now, and they need to win one.
Thanks, Mike. You didn't break the tie. Appreciate that.
I picked Calgary. Calgary.
Okay, we'll let you off the hook there on that one. Let's get into some of the key individuals. We talked about the quarterback situation. Unfortunately, Brian Bulkey's not playing in this game.
No, he's not.
He suffered an injury, has season-ending
bicep
surgery. So very unfortunate for Brian Bulkey. Great young man, great football player. In fact, I think he was maybe the defensive player of the year.
He was out. I think they're outstanding
Canadian. So big loss for Hamilton there, no question about it. But when you look at the rosters, things like that. Some of the guys that stand out to that are going to be key. We talked about John Cornish. We mentioned the quarterbacks. Is there anybody else that can make the difference here and be the deciding factor?
I think Banks, definitely for sure. Their running back Grimsby as well is going to be. I mean, he's dynamic. Anytime Caleres is dynamic, those 3 guys alone make a million plays. Fantuz, known to come up big in big time games. I know he's been banged up and stuff, but he'll make his plays and get him there as well. They got a ton of great receivers.
You can't count out Andy. I got a ton of respect for that guy. He's a big-time player. But Keon Raymond, good friend of mine.
Okay.
That guy's a playmaker. That guy can make plays, and he can change the game. Absolutely, he's done it before, and I'm banking on he's gonna pick a ball off, run it back for 6, maybe do something special to win the game, turn the tide, maybe.
All right, that's a good call.
I'll go with an underrated guy. The guy that basically replaced Fantus when he was hurt is Luke Tasker. A guy who catches the ball, tough kid, great in traffic. He's the kind of guy that, you know what I mean, when the game's on the line, no game's, I think, going to be too big for him. No play's going to be too big. I could see him making a big catch when it counts.
Talk about a lot of offensive guys, with this game, but both teams outstanding defenses. Where do they become a factor in this game? I mean, obviously, they're going to have to do some things to shut down key players on both sides of the ball, on both sides of the benches here. Better defense. Is there a better defense with these two teams?
I think Hamilton was, I think, top 3 in defensive sacks and things like that. I mean, like I said, they're just a big physical football team on defense that like it physical. I think defensively they're probably far better, I think, than Calgary. I mean, and it's going to be interesting to see.
RJ, you've seen this defense up close.
Yeah, Hamilton's got a real good defense for sure. But I know the athletes on Calgary's defense, and there's a lot of big time playmakers. I think Juwan Simpson comes to mind. He's a fast middle linebacker. That guy can cover from sideline to sideline. Really, I'm pro Calgary right now.
Well, that's good. I like
There you got it.
Yeah.
I mean, you're probably getting some tweets or something after this if you weren't talking Calgary. So,
Yeah.
we get that. No
Yes.
question about it. BC Place is the site of the game. Obviously, weather will not be a factor in this.
Which is too bad.
It is too bad. I agree with you, Coach Mills. I want these guys outside, freezing their butts
Because
with
it
fans. and
makes the game completely different, right?
it does.
I'm not. No, fans and players aren't
Well,
for that.
The fans.
No.
Fans might not be a factor. It's in BC.
Oh, true. That's a good point. Yeah.
Well, that's a good point.
There's still
You're right.
tickets available.
There's still tickets available, unfortunately. But how much of a difference does that make?
It makes a big difference. I'd love to play inside.
Oh,
Grey
you'd
Cup,
rather
both-
be
I
inside.
played in 2 Grey Cups and they were both inside, and we lost them both.
Maybe you
And you still want to play
then.
inside? Okay, let's take a look at this picture, RJ. Okay, maybe we have to rethink this a little bit here.
But I think, okay, so in terms of Canadian football, you want that like snowy Grey Cup.
Sure,
game.
well, I
Absolutely,
think in any
right?
football,
I
except for,
agree.
of course, summer
Not any
football,
football,
but-
though. But in terms of like the gameplay and the skill positions, I think it's like an equalizer. I think the faster team isn't as fast anymore, and the quicker team isn't as quick anymore. And now I think,
That's what makes the game.
no, man,
That's
I
what
think
makes
if
the
I'm
game.
the faster team, I want to be able to show that. I want to use that as my strength. I don't want the weather, something that you can't control, aid the slower team. Let's have the conditions just fine so we can just display what we got.
Okay, what happened for you guys in 2 years then? Come on.
I got nothing to say about that. I got nothing to say about that.
What happened? So obviously you don't agree with this?
No,
or-
I just think that, you know what, hey, if it's weather, it's weather. If it comes, it comes. Both teams have to play in it, and it definitely evens out things.
Being inside the dome.
Well, I think Calgary probably has the advantage inside. I mean,
So
if
you're
it's
saying
outside,
if it was
if it's
outside, it would
outside,
even things out?
well, I think Hamilton might have the advantage. I mean, they love it. They love those guys playing in crazy weather. I know Calgary does well, but I mean, I just would love to see it outside in the miserable weather. It just adds to the game.
Defensive guy, ARD.
Adds to the game, man. Adds to the
As a
game.
receiver, absolutely not.
My perspective comes from coaching at AKO, though. We play at Windsor Stadium, and we completed 5 passes a game. So I hoped it rained every game. I hoped it was muddy, and we could hand the ball off to McCann and Donkers. So I don't know if either one of those teams fall into that category. But
I'm going to say this, though. I think it being out west is in favor of Calgary. I don't think Eastern teams play very well out in BC Place. No. It's a long trip. It's 3 hours difference. So they're going to be, fourth quarter is going to be at like midnight for them, and I think that's going to be different for them. Yeah, and Eastern teams don't play well when they go out there, and Calgary's used to playing there, so I think that's going to be another factor.
Okay, just got a little more than a minute. I need the predictions so that we can go to Vegas and put our bets. So, Coach Mills, I know where you're going. I need a
Hamilton,
score.
It's going to be a close game. I'm going to say Hamilton, I'm going to say 34-30.
34-30 Hamilton. Who's the MVP?
Galeras.
Claire's. Okay. Okay, what's Calgary going to win by, RJ?
Calgary 31, Hamilton 21.
And your MVP is?
Bo Levi Mitchell.
Bo Levi Mitchell.
Yeah.
All right, good enough.
I will also go Calgary, similar score, 34-20, and I'll take Cornish.
All right. I think Cornish too. I think he's going to be a huge factor. He's well rested.
I don't think he's going to run for a lot of yards, but I think
No,
he's going to
but
have a lot
he
of
can catch the
receiving
ball
yards.
too.
He had
That's the
120
thing.
receiving
He had
yards.
120 yards last week.
Yeah.
He only ran. He ran for less than 100. last week.
55 or
So-
57, something like that.
Okay, great stuff, guys. Great to see all of you. Enjoy the game. Thanks for coming in today. Hopefully we get to talk a little more football with you down the road, and certainly enjoy everything that's happening this weekend, though, okay? Sounds good. All right, that's this edition of the Sports Den. Check us out again next week right here at we-tv.ca. Until then, this is Dominic Papa saying good evening. We'll see you all again very soon.